Hello everyone, Bill Hansberry here, and I'm co-developer of the Playberry Multisensory Literacy Program, which is an intervention program for students who are needing a very intensive and fine-grained intervention to get them up to speed with their reading and spelling. Okay folks, so if you're watching this video, you either have engaged a private specialist teacher who uses the Playberry Tier 3 program, or you might be lucky enough that your school is using the Playberry Tier 3 multisensory program and your child has been involved in that. So what I want to do in this video is explain to you why we nag and nag and nag and insist that the white cards that the students get in our program are rehearsed at home daily, even on holidays. Okay, so let's give some background knowledge about Playberry. When we use Playberry Tier 3 with our students, we're working on a lot of things at once. One of the key things they were working on is this business of automaticity of grapheme-phoneme correspondence. So let me just explain what we're on about when we talk about automaticity of grapheme-phoneme correspondence. In non-fancy terms, we are getting students to memorize the links between letters and the sounds that they make. Because when good readers read, they have this stuff down pat. It is automatic for them. So that's what we're trying to achieve with those reading cards that they use, because we need them to be swift, automatic, and we need those sounds to just jump out when they see those letters. The reason we want that is because that makes it easier for them to decode or sound out new words, and we need decoding to be easy for them, because when you can decode, your brain can start to store words as wholes. So we can get the students to the point where words just pop off the page for them. Okay, but that involves decoding, and decoding involves speedy automatic repetition of grapheme-phoneme correspondences. Okay, so the Playberry Tier 3 program is at the top of the pyramid because, like I said before, we use it for our students who are having the greatest difficulty with their decoding, which means their reading and their spelling is impacted. So this is a very pointy end, high intensity, high frequency intervention. All right, so let's talk a bit more about this automaticity of grapheme-phoneme correspondence, or to use non-fancy language, being automatic with linking letters to sounds and sounds to letters. All right, we're trying to get students to a point which we call overlearning. So overlearning happens when they look like they've learned it and they look like they're quick, but we keep on going. We want them to be at the point of absolute automaticity. So the way we do that with letter sound links is by using these cards that you can see on screen. They're called reading cards, and you'll notice that their pack will get bigger and bigger and bigger the more they attend intervention sessions. So those cards are how students get very quick at linking sounds to letters and letters to sounds. But there's a second pack that we give them. You'll know these cards because they've got a red stripe down the side, and these are called the concept cards. Now the concept cards are also very important because we need the students to also be fast with knowing grammar terms and spelling rules, because they need to be able to speak our language when they come into sessions. So when we talk about nouns and verbs and open syllables and closed syllables and consonants and vowels, we need them to know exactly what we're talking about, because this is the meta language of English. So for them to be able to speak our language and know what we're talking about and progress as fast as possible, we need them to know those grammar terms and spelling rules as well. That is why they bring home 2 packs of white cards that all need to be practiced with you at home. Okay, so why is automaticity important and overlearning? Well, let me use a car to explain. All right, the first time you learn to drive, or if you've recently taught a learner driver yourself, you will have an idea of how completely overwhelming it is to first sit in a driver's seat. Because you have to learn all of those things. You have to learn, well, most people know what a steering wheel does, but you have to learn what an indicator is, what it does, how to turn the wipers on and off, what the handbrake's about, putting the car into gear, using accelerators, brakes, and maybe even clutches. And if that's not enough, you've also got to think about actually handling that car in traffic. So the reason learner drivers are so clumsy and very likely to crash is because they have to think about all of these things at one time, because in the beginning, none of those skills are automated. Now, that's very different to you who's been driving for a number of years now. When you sit in a car, you don't even have to think about the routine for turning the car on, putting it in gear, pulling into traffic. You can do all of those things and be thinking about completely other stuff like what we're having for dinner tonight or, what's happening at work. Now, why is it that you don't have to consciously think about all of those things? It's because the skills of driving have become automatic for you. You have practiced them so often, they are now at automaticity. And when you are at automaticity with a skill, that frees your brain up to concentrate on higher level stuff, like managing traffic, anticipating what the car in front of you is going to do, or if you got all that down, thinking about what you're going to have for dinner. Okay, now think about reading. Reading's a little bit the same. We need to have all of these sub-skills automated, and letter sound correspondences is one of them, and grammar terms is the other, because we want our kids' brains free to think about higher order stuff as they work with us. All right, so I'm going to show you the start of a little video that Maddie and I did, which is on my YouTube channel. And I'll just show you the start. Here it is. Now, I'd really like you to go and watch this whole video yourself because it explains how to do these cards at home. So let's just show a little bit and then we'll move on. This is Maddie. Maddie's very kindly agreed to show how the reading cards and the concept cards get done at home. So Maddie, we'll pretend we're at home, and I suppose that means I have to pretend I'm your parent or something like that. You all right with that? All right, so we take the rubber band off the reading cards. You know they're reading cards because the kids read them. We give them a little bit of a shuffle just to get them out of the order. All right, now I will take out of this we've got some random extra cards in here we use for other reasons, but we'll just do the reading cards. All right, can I get you coming a little bit closer? So you will see the back of the cards, which is what the parent sees when they do them. Now at home, you might want to get the timer on, you might not, but when they come into sessions with us, we do time just to see how the speed is. Okay, Maddie, are we ready to go? Now, if you make a mistake, we'll just do what we do. I'll put the card back in a few back, all right? And it's good if they see us make a mistake because they'll know what to do. Okay, let's go.
Mouse, kitten, lampshade.
Oh, we haven't done double L yet. Okay.
Tongue,
good.
Ball, octopus, donut,
good.
House.
Good. Okay, so we'll stop that there, but you get the idea. But I really do want you to watch that in its entirety because it'll tell you exactly how to do those reading and concept cards at home. All right, so when students come to us, we're going to get them to do higher order activities. If you think about the car, we want them to drive. We want them to pull into traffic and get moving and think about other stuff. So one example of the type of work we get kids to do is a task called patterning, dividing, and coding. And that's on the right hand of the screen. And that's a very important scaffold that helps kids go from reading one-syllable words to two-syllable words. Now, to be able to do that, our kids need to have all these concepts embedded. So if you look on the left of screen, they need to know what a vowel is, they need to know what a syllable is, they need to know what an open and a closed syllable is, and they need to know what we're talking about when we talk about short and long vowel sounds. Okay, so that's the concept side of it. Now, if you look at the cards on the right that I'm circling my mouse around now, they need to have all those letter sound correspondences locked in as well. So that's how being automatic on that deck of reading cards and that deck of concept cards feeds in to them to be able to have enough brain space free to think about patterning, dividing, and coding so they can start to attack two-syllable words. So I want to explain to you what happens when a student who is unrehearsed comes into our session. Well, we get that. They crash and burn. And the reason is we want them to do tasks that are higher order, that get them to a point where they can start to store complex words with lots of syllables. But if they have not come automatic with those cards, it's a bit like the Hindenburg disaster. Everything gets slowed down. They get frustrated. And sometimes we, even though we try not to show it, sometimes us teaching them also get frustrated because we're thinking, oh, they should know this by now. If they were doing their cards at home, they would know what I'm talking about when I say open and close syllable. And that sort of thing. So what we end up with is kids who are quite reluctant to come along to sessions because they know it's going to be hard. They know they're going to be cognitively overloaded because they haven't automatized the stuff we need them to have automatized. So that's why we get a fair bit of resistance to coming to sessions. But what we really want is a kid who comes to us like this, who knows they're quick with their cards, and they know that when they sit down to do one of our tasks, they're going to have all that information we've taught them automatized, so their brain will be free to do the higher level stuff that we ask them to do. So look, I'd really like to thank you for watching this little video on doing the cards, or the importance of doing the cards, because your child is in a Playberry Tier 3 multisensory intervention. Just quickly, I want to make a note. I don't want this to be confused with what happens in all classrooms in some of the schools that do our other Playberry Tier 1 program. Your child is hopefully doing the Tier 1 program in classrooms, but they are also in a special intervention setting where they're doing Playberry Tier 3. So I hope that makes some sense. Thank you very much for watching.